Good afternoon, everybody. This is March 17th, 2021, and as you know, wearing the green, it is St. Patrick's Day. Uh, and for me, it is very special, not just because it's St. Patrick's Day, but because today is my youngest son's birthday. And he was born on St. Patrick's Day, um, about 18 minutes past noon, 45 years ago today. And it is also special because it is my eldest son Jamey's and his wife Corinnes' 31st wedding anniversary. They got married March 17th, 1990. And so, as you can see, it is a very special time for me. I wanted to do a short video to mark St. Patrick's Day, as I've been doing trying to do for different holidays that come throughout the year, since I haven't been doing my end of the month newsletter. So I like to bring, touch base with all of you there this way, and have connection to continue this way, at least for a while until things pick up in the literary world, and I have more to talk about in that respect. Before I go any further, I would like to give a very special nod to Gaby. If you're watching, Gaby, I want to thank you for your very, very thoughtful comment on my last video that I did, where I was marking the first year anniversary of, my very last book signing. And maybe to some people, that don't write, or people that aren't into reading, maybe that's no big deal. They wouldn't know what I'm talking about, what I'm referring to. But for those of us who write as a career, as well as a passion that we love to express, it is a big deal. And it doesn't stop us. It doesn't stop us from writing. I mean, I'm continuing on with the follow-up to The Perils of Autumn, and the follow-up novel Return to Autumn, and I hope to be able to bring that to publication sometime this year. I'll just have to wait and see how things go. I can't give a date when to expect it, so therefore I won't. But I hope to bring it out this year. I haven't got it totally finished yet. It is pretty much, I would say, 3/4 of the way done, if not more. I keep going back and checking it and revising it and things like that, so I'm taking care of the editing and everything all at once. It's just something I like to do. It's my method of writing and bringing my work out. Not all authors go about that procedure the same way. They have to find what best works for them. And so for me, that's the way that I like to do it. And because of, the upheaval and everything of what's been going on, because of this virus, that, is constantly pounded into everybody's head to keep everybody, cowering in fear, it takes away from the creative flow at times. And so I have to go back and revise and read and bring myself up to date on where I am in the story so that I can carry on with the storyline of it. And I mean, I'm myself, I am not afraid of this virus. It is just I think it is a tweaked flu, and for very elderly people or people with a comorbidity, a weakened immune or whatever, yes, it can go very, very hard on them. You know, the people that die that from it, from this virus, um, the majority are very elderly, over 80, and no doubt already have an issue, an underlying issue. When you get up in years like that, you know, things wear out, and and something is already going on, and you get a very bad flu. It was the same in up until this 2020, up until 2020 of last year. If they got the flu, it could go very hard on them, and in some cases it caused death. Um, but now, of course, you don't hear a word about the flu. Nobody has the flu anymore. It just seems to have vanished into the air. If this virus now that President Trump liked to call the China virus, and I think he was right, because I mean that's where it came from to begin with. I think that people that contract it, you know, as I say, it goes hard on some, and some would get it, and there would be, you may have a bit of a fever, you know, and you may not feel the best for a couple of days or so, but you get over it, and you get over it because you have a strong immune system, and that's what we are supposed to have. We do not need a vaccine that came in 5 minutes. That I mean, they've never isolated the virus yet, and so, as I said in my last video, I don't know how they can come up with a vaccine when they don't even know what the disease is. They have never isolated it to even know what it is. So to me, there's the red flags right there. I mean, how can they make something that is safe for people when they have yet to isolate the disease? And as I was just saying, I mean, all of a sudden, there's no flu anymore, there's no colds, there's no pneumonia, there's nothing. It's just this virus. And so, and I think it is petering out very, very quickly. And of course, you know, the government and the mainstream news have got to, you know, keep the fear mongering going, you know, like, oh, there's variants now. And the third wave is coming. Before we know it, we'll be on the 25th wave. And just to control people. This is what it's all about. It's got nothing to do with health. It is just to control the population and see who is going to comply and who is not going to comply. And don't be fooled. Like, don't be fooled. They're even stating that people who take this virus, if you have life insurance, the life insurance is going to become null and void, because the insurance company will not stand behind the policy. If you take the vaccine or a member of your family takes the vaccine and they unfortunately die, there's not a darn thing you can do. They will not stand behind you. I have listened to different doctors and virologists talking about this vaccine, and every one of them say, don't take it. It is not safe. It just, draw your own conclusions. Like, do your own research, draw your own conclusions, but stop listening to the mainstream news. Stop, please. You know, for the safety of your own life and for the safety of your families, stop listening to the lies. And you know, I got speaking about different things that I was recalling at the time that I was doing the video, and you know, I get a little bit emotional because, you know, I'm passionate about what it is I'm talking about, and so when you're talking to the lens of this camera and you're just, you know, whatever is coming to mind and that you want to express, talk about, sometimes the things that come are the things that are very dear to me, and I get emotional. And but as I say, Gaby seemed to tune right in to what I was saying. And it's nice to get that feedback from people that watch my videos and have something to say, you know, positive things to say. I mean, you can say whatever you want. I mean, I'm not afraid to take criticism, and I'm certainly not afraid that maybe something that I've said, I'm going to pull my hat up here, something that I've said, because of the way that I'm feeling at the time I say them, I don't know, maybe some people might take offense, I don't know. But everyone is free to express themselves and give their own opinions, at least they should be, without fear of reproach or condemnation or something, because, oh, you might have hurt somebody's feelings. I mean, this has gotten completely out of hands, totally gotten, it's nonsense. It's not the way I grew up. We never had the way the world is now, at least the Western world. It's the countries that belong to the Western cultures have gone totally off the rails. It's gotten out of hand, and somewhere along the way, it's got to stop. Myself, because I believe in God and I follow Lord Jesus, I think that has got a lot to do with it. More and more people have turned away from God, and I feel that is a big mistake. When I was young and in school, we said the Lord's Prayer every morning, and we sang "God Save the Queen," because I mean that was back before, like, oh, Canada, of course, has always been there, but we sang "God Save the Queen" because that was before the 1982 reprisal to the Constitution, where we were supposed to have pulled away from Britain. So therefore, there was no more singing of "God Save the Queen." It went then to "O Canada," which is fine as far as that goes. I mean, we are our own country, even though we are still part of the British Commonwealth. I think we probably always will be. But so we sang, God Save the Queen, and we recited the Lord's Prayer every morning. And plus we took Bible class in school. In my school, we took it twice a month. And I remember the teacher, the pastor, the young pastor that came, his name was Mr. Bragg. I can't recall his Christian name. I don't recall what it was because that's so many years ago. But he was very entertaining. Not, he stood at the front of the class, and like he had a felt board, and he had felt figures of the main people in the Bible, and he had scenery, he had palm trees, and he had temples, and he had all different types of things. And as he would be telling whatever he was teaching that day, he would put it on the felt board, and he would move the people around depending on what he was talking about. And it was so entertaining for those of us sitting there watching it, because it just made much more of an impact than if he had just stood at the head of the class and just spoke about what it was that he was, the subject that he was teaching that day. And so nowadays kids have whiteboards. I don't even know if they have blackboards in school anymore, but they have whiteboards where things can stick to them, and it's just it's just like they write on them with this special marker thing, and I guess it's just changing with the times, but nothing wrong with that. It's a whiteboard or blackboard, as long as they're being taught, and whatever they're being taught is the things they should be being taught, not the way it seems to be going and has been for quite some time. That is something that really needs to be looked into. A lot of things are going on. Parents have no clue. They're not aware of, and they need to be. You need to look into the curriculum. You need to look into what is being taught to your children, because it's not what you think it is. The reason for school is to teach your children the necessities so that they can function in the world when they grow up. Reading, writing, math, English, history, geography, science, art, music, all the different things that go along with all of that. They certainly do not need some woke teacher up there talking to boys and girls, even from kindergarten and up, that you may be a boy today, you may be a girl today, or whatever you want to do. You don't need to ask your parents. Speaking to a little boy, are you feeling feminine today? Do you feel like you might want to dress like a girl tomorrow and be called a girl? Well, it depends on the pronouns that they want to use. He, she, it. Or the same thing, asking a little girl, do you feel like a boy? Do you think you could be a boy? There are things you can take to make you a boy. This is all being done underhanded, behind the parents' back. Things happen, the parents don't know anything about it. I was watching a video last night, and in it they were discussing an author that writes children's books, but they're not. The gist that he's getting across is trying to entice and encourage impressionable children to accept transgenderism as though it's an everyday occurrence. You know, this is what you want to do. This is what we accept. This is the way it needs to be. It's just, and apparently he was given an award in the I can never get the letters straight, LBGT, XYZ, UVW, whatever. If that's what you, as an adult, want to follow, want to do, that's your choice to do. It's up to you. And you can put up with the consequences of if something goes wrong or whatever, or you made a mistake and you want to go back or whatever. But nobody has the right to teach this to children, to try to get them to, I don't even know how to explain it. It just is so frustrating to think that there's these people that are in the school system being paid outrageous amounts of money to teach this to innocent, developing children. It's like, between that and the child trafficking that goes on in the world, by people that have accepted Satan and his diabolical ways, because they want to stay young and they need the adrenochrome from innocent little people to do that. It's wrong. What is the matter with the world? How did we get here? I honestly think it started when they took prayer out of school. You know, whether you grew up going to church every Sunday or not, you were introduced to your Maker every day, 5 days a week. And then on the weekends, of course, then you would go to church. Kids went to Sunday school. When I was growing up, we didn't go to church, only on special occasions. But God was always present. He was always in our home. The Bible was always there if you needed to refer to anything. And my parents taught me and my brother. They taught us right from wrong. They taught us to walk God's path. And they left it up to us to choose and decide, you know, the path that we wanted to walk. But they were wonderful examples. And I oftentimes think about the way it was when I was growing up. I sometimes used to think that, you know, I mean, where I lived, I grew up in my grandfather's house on his farm. And it was down at the very end of a dead-end road. And I used to think that, I was, you know, I'm never going to get out of here. This is all there is to life. I'm bored, nothing to do, nowhere to go. But now, all these years later, and I look back at those times, those days, and I realize just how fortunate I was, and what I wouldn't give to go back for one day, and just be there with my parents, my brother, and my grandpa, and my aunt, sit around the table and talk. We were free to say whatever we wanted, ask whatever we wanted, never afraid of a reprimand or some idiotic answer. I could only imagine if those people were alive today, my mom and dad and my grandfather, to see what's going on in the world. They would be horrified, and rightfully so. Anybody from those generations. They built this country, them and their parents and grandparents and so on before them. They're the ones that built Canada, the same as all settlers built their countries. And they followed God, and they built a solid, safe environment. And somewhere along the line, something happened that just set it upside down. And somehow, some way, we have got to get it right, get it back on track. I don't know, it begins with standing firm together, not being afraid to reach out and touch somebody, talk, discuss these things, take a stand. We need to. We have no choice anymore. There's times that I get so upset when I think about the future. I mean, my own children are grown men with families of their own, and I know they will do the right thing. But I think about my grandchildren, some of whom are already adults. My youngest granddaughter is 11. She's in grade 5. So she's right in that prime time, I guess, for all of this nonsense to possibly try to affect her. And then there's my great-grandsons, Patrick and Harrison. And Patrick is now in kindergarten, and he's liking it, which is great. That he likes to go to school, and he's got friends and things like this. Even with the idiotic nonsense that's going on in school, with having to be masked. To me, I don't care what they say. It's just outright child abuse. And no child should have their nose and mouth covered, stopping them from breathing oxygen properly and being able to exhale their carbon dioxide properly instead of inhaling it back. That's going to cause them sickness somewhere along the line. and having to stay in their little circles. What is that teaching them? What it's doing is harming them psychologically. And somewhere down the road, that's going to manifest and it's going to come out to the surface. And of course, Harrison is now 5 months old. And in a few years, he's going to be going into that system. I'm hoping somewhere along the line, maybe my granddaughter will homeschool him. So he doesn't have to go into that. And maybe Patrick will eventually be homeschooled. Then at least you know what is being taught to your child. And your child is going to grow up normal. There are only 2 genders. Don't listen to this idiotic nonsense that there's 57 different genders and there's variations and all of this. That's a crock. That is just a crock. And there is male and female and no other. Your DNA is your DNA, regardless if you change from one sex to another. Your DNA does not change. And so, food for thought, maybe. And so I'm just over the 30-minute mark again. And so videos have a way of the time getting on when you're talking and you don't realize. And of course, the longer videos, they take longer to upload. And sometimes maybe if it's really long, you tend to lose your audience's attention if they get too long, especially if whatever it is you're talking about is not of interest to somebody that may be watching it. And so, so I'm going to close this video, and I will be back. I'm planning to do a video for Easter. Wonderful Easter. It's such a fantastic, energetic time in the year. Everything is rebirth. Everything is being renewed. You know, because he is risen again. And so I'm going to say bye-bye for now. Thank you very much for tuning into this video. And please feel free, like Gaby, to comment with your ideas and your views. And I will reply to you. I promise. I always do. And so until I next see you again, please be safe. Look after yourselves, look after your children, and God's blessings to each of you. Bye for now until I see you again.